So there are lots of images for the ineffable Spirit. We just heard that it intercedes with groanings too deep for words. I mean, no words can capture the reality of the Spirit, only point. And the more earthy the symbol, as Tara can probably agree, no doubt, the more evocative and powerful it is. So we have in the Gospel today, and the Gospel of the Samaritan woman, for example, the Spirit leaping up, like a fountain within us. That's what Jesus speaks about in the Gospel. But I'd like to focus more on the image of the fire, which is so, as we saw, so central to Teilhard's vision. And of course, as we'll see in tomorrow's first reading, the actual feast reading, the tongues of fire coming down. And we saw in our first reading from Joel, the fire will be important in blood and smoke. We spoke about that in the blood today as well. So, fire, well, I remember at an interfaith gathering once, one of my good friends who's a Hindu from an ashram, he lived his whole life in an ashram in India. He's also a scientist like Teilhard. Gave a whole discourse, and he's so eloquent. He just spins right out of his own heart and experience of fire. Agni is the god of fire in Hinduism, and so a central energy, a divine energy, and so coming down, forming the cosmos. We now know that even better today from our cosmology. The fires, burning in the millions and billions of degrees, and the formation of our own planet, in fire. But then coming down even to something as simple as he said, of our digestion. The warmth of our own bodies, the digestion of the food. So the fire assimilates, transforms, destroys a little in the process, but then transforms and assimilates, which is what the divine fire does. It destroys a little in the process. It's the whole image of the living flame of love, the fire that St. John of the Cross speaks about so often. He uses the image of the log and the Spirit, the fire of the Holy Spirit. Initially turns it all black and destroys it, all the that's in the way of it, all the obstructions. But then it's transformed. It's assimilated to God. So just as in digestion, the food is assimilated to us. So in this transformation of the fire, in the spiritual sense, we're assimilated to God. We're transformed into God. And as he says, that eventually the log becomes indistinguishable from the fire, and it becomes a living flame of love leaping up, just like the waters leap up, so the living flame leaps up, which is, the Spirit. We're so identified with the Spirit that, we are transformed into Christ, really into God, into the Spirit, so that he later speaks about in the spiritual canticle about, we breathe the Spirit, the Holy Spirit back into the Father, in and with and as Christ, to such a degree and in such a way that someone hypothetically looking from the outside would not be able to distinguish us from God. We're indistinguishable from God, which is sharing the divine nature, which is divinization, which is that transformation into God that we spoke about, that Teilhard speaks about, that St. Athanasius speaks about. So let's allow that fire of the Spirit, free reign in our hearts, and thereby through us, hopefully, in the world, so that there is that purification, the fire that burns, but which eventually assimilates and transforms us into itself. If we can not be so afraid of the fire, allow it free reign and free working in our hearts, we will be rewarded by being transformed into that fire. Warmed by it, as the Pentecost sequence says, warming the chill of our hearts and transforming them, will be warmed and then transformed by the fire into fire. We have to choose our fire. Something T.S. Eliot said in his Four Quartets. Either we have to choose between fire and fire. We're going to be either burned up by our passions, or we're going to have that very energy transformed through the divine, in conformity with the divine, so that we are indistinguishable from that fire, from that flame of love. So we need to become diaphanous, transparent, to that flame, to the heart of Christ, that flaming heart of Christ that we spoke about, and it's depicted on the icon, so that we can allow there ultimately to be only one living flame, one ball of fire, as there was in the Big Bang. It'll ultimately be just that one fire, and then of the Spirit, and we will be it. So, what's not to like? Let's recommit ourselves to that conflagration and that transformation within us.